Alright guys, we're going to cover the radius and the ulnar structures, and so hopefully this will help you with your studies. Let's start off by telling the difference between the radius and the ulna. There's a couple of really cool mnemonics. Easy one is the one that makes a U, that's your ulna. So hopefully that's a little bit easy to tell. Also, radius, math, that's a circle. There's often a radius associated with those. So that's a really easy way to tell right off the bat which one's your ulna and which one's your radius. So let's go over the radius first. So we have the head structure that's right here. And a lot of students confuse this neck structure with the fovea capitis. If a TA is going to ask you about the fovea capitis, it's going to be referring to this top structure here. Think of it like cap, like a hat, right? It's going to sit on top. So your head is here, fovea capitis is here. Now neck structure, it's going to be a little hard to see, so I'm going to turn it right there. Hopefully it'll stay. It's this tuberosity, it's the radial tuberosity, and it's this bump that protrudes out. So head structure, fovea capitis, radial tuberosity. The next structure we're going to talk about is the neck, and that's going to sit between the head and the radial tuberosity. It's going to sit right here. And so it's literally like a neck. Okay. The next one is one of my favorite structures that they use on anatomy, and it's the styloid process. We have a couple of these. We have one in the head and one on the ulna, but we also have one on the radius. So this is the styloid process of the radius, and it's very important that you're very specific in your lecture exam, that you're saying styloid process of the radius, and also same thing, fovea capitis of the radius, because there's actually one, a fovea capitis in the femur, and there's also a styloid process in the ulna and in the temporal bones. So just make sure you're specific on that. Not too bad. And then on the side here where the ulna is actually going to articulate, we call this the ulnar notch. So this is where that ulna is going to sit nice and neat on that structure there. So that's really all you need to know for the radius, the tuberosity, the neck, the head, the fovea capitis, and then the styloid process of the radius and the notch, the ulnar notch. Okay, so now to go on to the ulna. The structure you need to know for the ulna is the olecranon process, and so that's going to sit right up here. And then the trochlear notch, which is going to be between the ulnar or olecranon process, and then the coronoid process of the ulna. I'm saying this very slowly so you understand that this is not coracoid, it's coronoid. You have to get the spelling on this correctly because we won't know what structure you're referring to otherwise. So coronoid is coronoid. That is what this structure is. Okay, so don't get that confused with other structures. So olecranon process, the trochlear notch, and then the coronoid process of the ulna. There is a styloid process of the ulna, which is right here, and it literally is this little point that sticks out. And then I should have actually finished this one first here. This is going to be the radial notch of the, that's the radial notch of the ulna. So you have the ulnar notch of the radius, and then you have the radial notch of the ulna. And then one more thing we're going to cover is the head. And this is going to seem counterintuitive, but the head is going to be right next to the styloid process. Even though these two are going to articulate up here, I believe it goes, if it sits just like that or something to that effect, I think these are correct sided bones, but they're going to sit like that, but this is actually going to be the head. So they're going to articulate a little bit differently. Other than that, that is pretty much all the structures you need to know for your radius and your ulna. So good luck with your studies, and definitely watch these videos. If you have any more questions, ask your TA.